We are talking about actually the shielded metal arc welding, which is one of the most commonly used welding process because of its simplicity, easy, and the low cost investment which is needed for the power source which is used with these processes. And as I've told you that this process uses the apart from simple power source, which is usually it can be AC DC, but DC straight polarity as well as the reverse polarity both can be used as per the type of electrode, and based on the recommendation of the manufacturer of the electrode, suitable polarity is used. These electrodes are frequently coated with them. These electrodes are coated with a variety of constituents for realizing the different functions, and I have listed these functions in the last lecture, like a few main are improving the arc stability of the electrode, controlled alloying, providing the protection to the weld pool, forming the slags so that impurities are segregated, like that. So in today lecture, initially I'll talk about the kind of the constituents and their specific role which is performed by these by the constituents in these electrodes. So basically shielded metal arc or SMAW, shielded metal arc, or you can say the manual metal arc. In these electrodes we have coatings. So coatings are incorporated with the variety of constituents. Okay, like quartz is one, that is the silica SiO2. This whenever it is added, it helps to improve the current carrying capacity of the electrode, which means like normally you have say electrode of 3.15 mm size and offering you the current carrying capacity of 162 to 180 ampere, but when the quartz is added, it may help you to improve the current carrying capacity up to 200 say or 230 ampere. Why? Because it allows the flow of current without getting unnecessary electrical resistance heating of the electrode itself. So that is the good part. Similarly, the rutile, that is TiO2, when it is added, it helps to form the viscous slag. So that is good part. Viscous slag means it is important, especially when you are welding in vertical or horizontal or in overhead positions, so that the molten metal doesn't fall down. At the same time, because of the good electron emitting capability of this titanium oxide, it strikes the arc easily. So good arc striking feature. Magnetite Fe3O4, it helps in the transfer of the fine droplets, refines the transfer of the droplets through the arc. So even fine droplets are transferred. Now there is a calcium carbonate. It reduces the arc voltage, produces the inactive shielding gas for protecting the weld pool, and it also helps in forming the slag. Okay, so variety of roles are performed by these constituents. Then fluorspar, calcium fluoride, it also increases the slag viscosity, good for the odd position welding, and uh, it also decreases the ionization potential. So that is good, means easy arc emission, good arc stability, good arc easy arc striking. Okay, so then there is a mixture of like K2OL2O3 and 6SiO2. This improves the arc stability by easy arc initiation. The ferromanganese and ferrosilicon, these are the common, like manganese and silicon are common deoxidizers. So when these are added, it helps, these help to deoxidize if the metallic oxides are present, formed during the welding. Okay, cellulose, this decomposes and forms the carbon dioxide, and provides the CO as inactive shielding gases. So provides the inactive shielding gases for protecting the weld pool. And these are the two very common binders, potassium and sodium silicates. So these constituents are mixed in the potassium sodium silicate, and then these are applied in form of coatings over the electrode. Okay, so these acts as a binding agent. So this was about the role of the different constituents which are added in the SMAW electrode. Apart from this, the important parameters related with the SMAW which will be governing the way by which the melting is taking place. Say these are the base metals and you are supplying the heat through the arc, and this is the SMAW electrode. Okay, so the coating and core wire. Okay, so depending upon the current which is flowing and the arc voltage between the two, your power of arc is decided. VI, voltage into the current. Now at what speed you are moving the arc, that this determines the net amount of heat being delivered. So you are generating heat at a particular rate, but if you are moving fast or slowly, that will dictate the net amount of heat being delivered. So it is quantified as kilojoule per mm. Okay, so say you are using 10 volt, arc voltage is 10 and the current is 200 ampere, and the say you can say 100 is the 100 will be too high, mm per second, so 10 is the mm per second is the speed. Okay, so your the 200 joules will be the per mm will be the heat being supplied to per unit length of the weld, and it is converted into kilojoules, so 0.2 kilojoule per mm. Like this you can write. Okay, so the point here is the speed. You see, the current, voltage and the speed, three are the very important welding parameters in SMAW, which will be dictating the net amount of heat supplied to the weld during the welding. So say this is the these are the components to be welded in top view. So the arc position, if you are moving the arc at 10 mm per second or you are moving at 2 mm per second, that will dictate that how much amount of heat being delivered. So if you are moving the arc slowly or moving the arc fast, that will determine how much amount of heat will be delivered. Okay, lower the welding speed, greater will be the amount that will be supplied for a given voltage and given current setting. Okay, so if we have to check the way by which the current and the voltage affects, so voltage is normally not used to adjust the heat input, because this is normally the electrode based and it is usually low. Voltage for the SMAW can range from say 15 to 30 ampere or even 15 to 30 volt, or even it can be 50 volt. But for other arc welding processes like gas metal arc welding or gas tungsten arc welding, these are the arc voltages are quite low, but the current value can be significantly high. So if you have to study the effect of current primarily governs the heat generation. Okay, so whenever the current is changed, what you see, increasing current increases the depth up to which arc is melting. Like say what is the depth of melting, you are supplying the heat from the top, so arc is able to melt up to this much depth or this much depth or this much depth. So this depth up to which melting is being realized, that is known as depth of penetration. So this depth of penetration, this we can express here in y-axis, and x-axis is showing the current, say starting from say 100 to say 500 ampere. So then how the penetration will be changing, that is what if we see, initially it changes linearly, it increases linearly, and then it becomes constant. The same is true for the weld cross section. When your welding current is increased, your weld cross section, you see the cross sectional area of weld, that also keeps on increasing and then it becomes constant. So initially weld will go like this, then it will become so this is how for say 100 ampere, 300 ampere and 500 ampere, weld cross section will keep on increasing and then it will become constant, because whatever heat you are supplying, this is current, so whatever heat is supplying, the that remains at the top, not able to del, and most of the heat is absorbed by the molten metal and it's not able to reach up to the bottom, so it becomes area becomes constant almost after reaching a particular value. Now as far as the speed is concerned, initially the increase of the speed, if you is welding speed, there is a need of an optimum for maximum penetration. Neither very low nor very high welding speeds will be helping. Why? Because when you are moving at a very low speed, the most of the heat will be localized at particular low surface only. Lot of heat will be delivered, number one, and the heat will be limited to the top only. It will not be able to reach up to the bottom. At the top you may have the molten metal, and most of the heat is taken by the molten metal only here. But when you and same is true when you are moving at very high speed, so you are supplying very limited heat at, so say this is at 100 mm per minute, or you can say the 2 mm per second or 20 mm per second. So you are moving very fast, you are supplying less heat when speed is very high, okay, or when speed is very low, you are moving very slowly. So actually your penetration and speed relationship goes in like this. Initially the penetration is low, then it starts improving, then it reaches maximum, then again it starts decreasing. So the penetration versus speed relation goes in like this. So this is what you can see as far as the welding parameters and its effect is concerned. So that is what I want to show you here with the help of these diagrams. So what you can see, increasing welding current is increasing the weld cross sectional area. That is what you can appreciate probably from these, okay. So penetration is less, then penetration will keep on increasing with the, as well as cross sectional area will also, okay, but it tends to start getting stabilized, okay. And this is about the effect of welding speed. When speed is low, your heat input is more, weld cross section is large, and when your speed is very high, heat input is less, so weld cross section is less, and you get the optimum cross section as well as the penetration when speed is optimum. Now I was talking about the current and the electrode diameter relationship. Say this is your electrode and you are supplying the current for a electrode of say 2 m diameter, you are using 500 ampere current. So what will be happening, 500 ampere current will be flowing through this core wire of the electrode. So by I square RT heating, when the diameter is small, excessive I square RT heating will be causing the excessive heating of the electrode itself. So it is possible that like the coating will start getting thermally decomposed much earlier than when it is needed. Electrode coatings are expected to get thermally decomposed at the location near the arc, but if excessive heating is taking place, then coatings may get damaged much earlier and you may not be able to get the desired shielding effect from the electrode coatings because they will get burned much earlier than when they should, okay. So that is why it is very important that the welding current is selected as per the diameter of the electrode, and for that again I have already told you it is 35 to 40 times of the diameter of the current that can be used. This is as a thumb rule, although with the addition of with the metal or the kind of coatings that are being used, there can be minor adjustment on the higher side or the lower side, okay. So this was about your you can say the effect of the welding parameters, okay. So coming to the now other parameters related with this welding, other aspects related to the welding, like how do we select the welding current. You have got AC, you have got DC, both kind of the power sources can be used. So selection of the welding current, Okay, I. This is because current is the most important aspect in the arc welding. So it is important like proper welding current is selected in terms of magnitude and its type. So AC and DC. Okay. So there are few things which are kept in mind, like the thickness of the section to be welded. So when it is very thick or very thin, in both the cases we prefer to go for the DC, because it allows you to decide how much amount of heat you want to generate in which side. So if you want to generate more heat in the workpiece side, you can go with the DC En, and if you want less heat generate more in the workpiece side, you can go with the DC RP. Now this, because more heat is generated on the electrode side in case of the DC RP, so you can go for thin sheet welding. So this kind of the whenever the thickness to be welded is on the either very high side or very low side, we prefer the DC as compared to the AC. Now similarly, now cable length is another aspect. So if the cable length is running say in meters, 100 meter, 50 meter, like that, so to reduce the voltage drops in the cables, excessive voltage drops in the cables, what we do, we over the DC we prefer the AC. AC is preferred over the DC for the longer cables. Okay, so like in the shipbuilding or in the pressure vessels where very lengthy cables will be running from the power source, so we prefer the AC as compared to the DC. Now ease of arc initiation. So certainly ease of arc initiation is much good for the DC as compared to the AC. Arc stability, again arc stability is very good for the DC because your current magnitude and direction remains constant, and while it passes through the zero level, its magnitude and direction both change in case of the AC, so it is not preferred. Then arc blow is one phenomena about which I haven't talked. It is arc blow is about the deflection of the arc from its path. Normally say this is the electrode, okay, its axis, and this is the arc which is coming. So what happens under unique situations, arc tends to get deflect either in forward or in backward direction. So this deflection of arc from its intended path is called arc blow. This arc blow is common in case of the DC only. So but if the arc blow problem is very severe, then we can switch over to the AC, because the deflection in case of the AC is neutralized in every half cycle. So actually you don't find any kind of the arc deflection or the arc blow. Okay. So this is the you can say another aspect related to the choice of the welding current. Then one more thing, odd position welding. Whenever it is odd position, we want that it is either horizontal or vertical or overhead, where the tendency for the molten metal to fall down is very high. So we will prefer the DC, so that at least you can control the amount of heat that you want to deliver as compared to the AC. Okay, so these are the few aspects which need to be considered while choosing the suitable type of the welding current. Now, how do we deposit the weld bead? When the weld bead is deposited, so you can say the types of weld bead deposition, or the way by which weld bead is deposited. So the one simple thing, when the arc is moved almost like this, so the weld bead is deposited in this manner. This is called stringer bead, where there is no lateral movement. Arc is moved straight in one particular direction. So this is this results in the stringer bead. Okay, when you are moving in when you are welding in odd position, then it is possible, like for better control over the heat input and better control over the molten metal, you may move the arc laterally like this. So you will be generating the wider arc, you see, like wider weld bead. So there can be number of other possibilities like this. So there are different patterns actually. So this is one of the most common one. where so whenever the bead is generated through the lateral movement of the different patterns, we are able to generate the wider weld bead. In this case, we have much better control over the molten metal as well as the control over the heat input. So you are not able to have the melt through kind of situation, as well as you are able to deposit the molten metal at the desired location very efficiently. So especially when you are welding very thick sheets or thin sections, the weaver beads are preferred. In thin sections, weaver bead will help to reduce the heat input at a particular location, so melt through situation is avoided. At the same time, in case of the thick sections, it will allow you to have desired spread of the molten metal at the location where you want to deposit it. Okay, so this was about the types of the bead. Okay, so I think I have talked a lot of things about the shielded metal arc welding. Now I will take up the another very interesting arc welding process, that is called submerged arc welding. A submerged arc means your welding arc. Why it is called so? Because this is electrode, okay, and it uses the bare electrode. It is not coated, bare electrode, okay, and it is connected to the power source. Usually we connect the power positive terminal, DC is used, and positive terminal is connected to the electrode, and a negative terminal is connected to the workpiece. Okay, these are the components to build. So we strike the arc, and once the arc is there, so the heat is generated. This is how it happens. Now the unique aspect here, as far as the SAW is concerned, submerged arc welding is concerned, that is the protection or the shielding, protection to the weld pool or shielding of the weld pool. This is unique. So what we do in this case, we feed the granular flux, not the coated flux. So granular flux is supplied from some hopper. So there is a hopper, through that, from there we feed the this flux powder. So flux powder is basically covering and covering the arc completely like this. So basically you can say the arc is submerged in the flux. Okay, so this is the flux powder, and arc is completely covered and submerged in the flux. So this is arc generating temperature of say 6000 to 8000 degrees centigrade. So obviously the flux will be melting. A very thin layer of the flux will be brought to the molten state, okay, like this, and all around a thin flux layer cover is formed. So this thin flux layer cover will be providing the protection to the weld pool from the atmospheric gases, okay, like this. So see, this is the arc, and arc is generating heat, transferring heat to the base metal for the welding purpose, and all around the arc you have a molten flux layer, and above that you have the powdered flux. So basically the molten flux layer will continuously melting and flowing down, and it will be floating over the surface of the pool. So this is the continuous process, melting of the granular flux and then flowing down. So basically a thin layer of the flux is formed all around the arc, and that molten flux layer will be flowing down continuously. Okay, so since the arc is below the flux, that is why it is called submerged arc. Okay, the unique features: the submerged arc welding is known to be a very high current welding process for joining of thick sections. So say up to 25 mm thick plate you can weld in a single pass. pass. So there is a sheet of say 25 or 40 just pass the arc once, so through thickness penetration will be realized in one go because of the high current feature associated with the SAW process. So current as high as 2000 ampere current can be supplied to the electrode depending upon the diameter again. So like say starting from say 300 to 2000 ampere current is very commonly used in SAW, sealed in metal arc, submerged arc welding process. So the welding current is high, therefore it is preferred for welding of the thick sections, not for thin sections, not necessarily not below 10 this process is used because of the high heat input. It allows the welding of the thick sections. So these are the 2 or 3 very important features as far as this one. And the third one which you can appreciate very easily, that is about the spatter free welding is performed. You see, what is the spatter? The electrode and the base metal. So molten metal is transferred, melting from the electrode, and it is getting transferred to the weld pool. So but part of the molten metal will always be falling here and there in other welding processes like SMAW or GMAW. Okay, SMAW or GMAW, in all these processes some spatter is always there. But in case of submerged arc, since arc is covered by the molten flux layer, so there is no scope for spattering, and therefore whatever the molten metal is being produced at the electrode tip, it is completely transferred. So spatter free weld is produced, number 1. Number 2, whatever heat of the arc is being generated, whatever heat is generated by the welding arc, everything is used because your the arc is covered by the molten metal, molten flux layer as well as the unmelted flux layer. So it doesn't allow the losses of the heat from the arc. Okay, so whatever heat is being generated, most of the part of the heat generated is used for the melting, and that is why whatever heat is generated is its most of the portion is used. So arc efficiency offered by the SAW process, submerged arc welding process, it is like say 95 to 99%. Very limited losses of the heat will be there from the submerged arc welding, while in case of the sealed metal arc maybe 70-80%, in TIG it is 40 to 50%, because lot of heat losses will be happening from the welding arc, and all the arc heat being generated is not used for the fusion and the welding purposes. So the few unique features of the SAW: 1, your the flux covered, flux arc is covered by the flux, cover of flux around the arc, this is 1. The second, no spatter or spatter free, or very high arc efficiency, very high welding current, okay, and very joining of the thick sections. Okay, so these are the very interesting features related with the SAW process. So how it is performed, and what are the different systems which are used. I'll show you one PPT, one small slide. Okay, yes. So this is what I was telling. Your electrode is, since this is a consumable electrode arc welding process, so the electrode is consumed during the welding. Electrode is wrapped around this spool, which from it will be fed, and with the help of these rollers the electrode is fed into the arc zone, and this is where you have your the granular flux is covering to the arc, and next to that you have the molten flux layer, then you have arc heat, and here your the slag and all that will be formed. This is the weld, this is the base metal. Okay, and the power source power source will be connected to the electrode, positive terminal, and negative terminal is connected to the base metal. Okay, and these fluxes, on the flux part I will come later. So thereafter only I will be talking about these aspects. So okay, so as far as the system is concerned, so apart from these aspects, since the welding current used is very high, 1500 2000 ampere, so heat input in these processes is also high, like 5 or 6 kilojoule per mm is very common. Okay, because of the high heat input, what happens, your weld size is very large, heat affected zone is large, very wide. So wide heat affected zone and the large weld size. Okay, so these are the side effects of the acid W. So wide HZ. Okay, but when you know the heat input is more, heat input goes inversely proportional to the cooling rate encountered by the welding or the heat affected weld metal or the heat affected zone. So higher the heat input, the cooling rate will be just opposite. So higher the heat H net, higher the H net, lower will be the cooling rate. So things will be cooling slowly. So when things cool slowly, there is enough time for the weld metal to solidify. So the gases will have tendency to escape. That in turn reduces the porosity tendency, number one. Because of the low cooling rates, longer solidification time, gases will have enough time for escaping from the weld metal, and therefore porosity is very limited. On the other hand, the cracking tendency of the weld is less, especially of the hardenable steels. So hardenable steel cracking tendency is reduced because of the low cooling rate, and the porosity tendency is also reduced. Since there is enough time for weld metal to solidify, so the weld bead is very smooth. Okay, very smooth weld bead is produced. So this is another interesting aspect, primarily related with the H net, leading to the low cooling rate, and low cooling rate results in all these benefits. Okay, coming to the system, as far as the system is concerned, for this now what it needs, the SAW comprises the 3-4 things. One is your power source. Power source, typically it uses the DC RP reverse polarity, especially when the small dia electrode is used, small dia electrode. But DCEN is used for the large diameter electrode, like 5 mm or 6 mm diameter electrode is to be used. Then we use the DCEN. DCRP is preferred for the small diameter electrode. Okay, now as far as the electrode is concerned, usually this is the bare electrode of the material that is to be used as a filler for welding of the base metal. So it can be matching composition or under matching or over matching as per the case. So bare electrode, but these say in case of the steels, the electrode is usually coated with a thin layer of the copper. So you will see the copper coated electrodes are usually used in SAW process. So the copper helps in improving the corrosion resistance of the, so it doesn't rust basically, and also it increases the current carrying capacity, means because of the good electrical conducting behavior of the copper, whenever it is coated, it improves the current rating of the electrode. It can carry the more current for the welding purpose. So your current carrying capacity of the electrode gets improved. Okay, so that was about the electrode. Yeah, so what we use as far as the electrode is concerned, electrode of the different diameters and the corresponding current ratings, what we use what for. So diameter in mm and current in ampere. Just for having some idea, electrode of 1.6 mm if used, it allows the current from 150 to 300 ampere. The electrode of the 2 mm diameter allows the current from 200 to 400 ampere. So for SAW the range is completely different than what I have talked about the SMAW. Okay, for the 2.5 mm size it is 250 to 600. For 3.15 mm diameter it is 300 to 700 ampere. For 400 it is 4 mm it is 400 to 800 ampere, and then for 6 mm diameter it is 700 to 1200 ampere. So depending upon the thickness you want to weld, you have to use the suitable the electrode diameter so that it can handle the desired current to be used for the welding purpose. Okay, so that was about the power source as well as the electrode which is used. Now the next important which is left is about the flux, what we use as far as flux is concerned. So commercially 3 or 4 types of the fluxes are used. One is your the molten flux. These are called molten or fused flux. Okay, this is one. Then second is the bonded flux. Third one is the agglomerated flux, and fourth is the mechanically mixed flux. So what we do, whatever the constituents we have, they are fused, and after solidification they are crushed. So fused fluxes, what we do, constituents are brought to the molten state. After solidification they are crushed, powdered, graded, and then they are used. In case of the bonded fluxes, the flux constituents, they are bonded with the sodium silicate or the potassium silicate. Then they are platized, means in form of the balls or in form of plate, small pieces. This is produced, and then those are crushed, powdered, and graded. So constituents here in the bonded fluxes, they are bonded, then they are platized, or they are brought in form of the small balls or the cubes. Those are then dried, crushed, powdered, and graded. That's how the bonded fluxes are used. So in bonded fluxes, the sodium and the potassium silicates are used as a bonding material. And in agglomerated fluxes, basically the ceramic binders are used as compared to the sodium and silicate. Rest of the things are same as that of the bonded fluxes. So only the difference as compared to the bonded fluxes in agglomerated fluxes is it uses the ceramic binder as compared to the ceramic binder as compared to the sodium or silicate fluxes. In mechanical flux category, various constituents are just mixed mechanically with each other and then they are used. Okay, so this is about the way by this classification is based on the manufacturing approach of the fluxes. Then based on their composition, the fluxes are also classified as oxide fluxes. So the common oxide fluxes which are used like manganese oxide, then there is a silica SiO2, then calcium oxide, then magnesium oxide, then alumina Al2O3, then titania TiO2, FeO iron oxide. These are the common the oxide fluxes. Then there is halide fluxes also. These are basically chlorides and the fluorides of the different elements. And then we have a mixture of the halide and oxide fluxes. So for most of the general purpose and the casual welding applications of SAW, oxide fluxes are used. Halide fluxes are costly, so they are used for the critical applications like the pressure vessels or wherever there is a huge life and risk of the life and property, there we use the halide fluxes. And for moderate applications, we like for common steel welding, oxide and halide fluxes are used. Okay, so these fluxes are come in the nature of these fluxes are completely different. Few fluxes are the acidic and few fluxes are basic. So so basically this is about the oxide fluxes only. So the basic oxide divided by the sum of all non-basic oxide fluxes. So whatever is the ratio of these fluxes, that is used to classify or determine the basicity index of the fluxes. Basicity index directly affects the cleanliness of the weld as well as its the slag detachment ability. Okay, so with regard to this, I'll be showing you these little grouping of the different oxide fluxes. So oxide fluxes are of three types: acidic fluxes, basic fluxes, and the neutral fluxes. So acidic fluxes are like SiO2, TiO2, then P2O5 and V2O5. Okay, basic fluxes are like potassium oxide, sodium oxide, calcium oxide, magnesium oxide, barium oxide, manganese oxide, iron oxide. Neutral fluxes are like Al2O3, Fe2O3, Cr2O3, and V2O3 and ZNO. So basically, whatever is the portion weight percentage of the basic fluxes divided by all non-basic fluxes means sum of the acidic plus the neutral fluxes, whatever you have in a flux. So that dictates the basicity index. Basicity index directly affects the cleanliness of the weld, number one, and number two, it also affects the slag detachability. Okay, so it's important, like if you write BI here, basicity index, let's say 1 to 5, then oxygen content, you will find that in the weld is coming down with the increasing basicity index. So O2 content in the weld is reduced with the increasing basicity index. Okay, so that's why I said that it affects the cleanliness of the weld. Okay, so in submerged arc welding, basicity of the fluxes is certainly quantified using this for a simple formula of the proportion of the or the weight percentage or weight of the all basic fluxes divided by all non-basic fluxes. Okay. Now coming to the other aspects related with the submerged arc welding, that is about let me show if I have something to show here. Yes, so here if you see the weld effect of the welding parameters in case of the SAW is similar to what I have already talked, like increasing welding current will be increasing the weld cross section as well as the penetration in the same way. Okay, weld cross section area and the penetration, so both will be increasing with the increase of the weld dimensions. If you see if you maintain the welding current and increase the diameter, what happens? And diameter is 2.5, 4 and the 5. So for a given current rating of 500 ampere, what we get, basically your penetration is deeper with the use of small diameter electrode conductor, and weld is narrow, width is narrow and weld is deeper. But on the other hand, your weld will become on the increasing diameter, weld become wider and the penetration will become shallow. Okay, the same is true here in terms of the welding speed. So this is about, I have already talked, like increasing the speed. When you are working with the very low speed, your heat input is very high, and when you are working with very high speed, heat input is very low. Okay, so what is happening basically, when your speed is very low, your weld cross section is very large. Okay, the bead is more flatter, so the bead angle is low like this, and the penetration is also more. So we don't want unnecessary very large size weld, so we want an optimum weld with the optimum bead angle and the penetration. Okay, so what you will notice, if we are working with the very high heat input, it goes like this. If we work with the little low heat input, it will keep on increasing. So this is what you can see here. So weld is more peaked with the very narrow width, because less time and less heat input, less time for the flow of the molten metal, so it is trying to get peaked. Okay, when heat input is very high, it is flatter like this. So your bead is flatter with the low bead angle. On the other hand, bead is heat input is low, bead angle will keep on increasing. So increasing bead angle actually no, is not good, because it increases the stress concentration. So this is what you can see here. Reinforcement is increasing with the increasing weld speed, because of the reduced heat input, reduced temperature, reduced fluidity, increased piling up of the molten metal. And this is about penetration. Penetration is also decreasing with the increase of the speed. Okay, and this is simply attributed to the increasing you're reducing amount of the heat, and the same is true for your weld cross section. Okay, so okay, that's all about the effect of the welding parameters in case of the SAW process. Okay, so I think this is where maybe I will stop. I've talked about the number of aspects related with this. In the next lecture, I will start the new process. This is the schematic of this is about the schematic of the GTAW. This is called gas tungsten arc welding, or also known as TIG welding, tungsten inert gas welding. Tungsten inert gas, or GTAW, it primarily uses the helium and argon only. That is why it is called inert gas welding. Okay, that is one. This process produces the cleanest weld. Means the oxygen content offered and nitrogen content offered in the weld metal, they are minimum among the all arc welding process. It is like 0.05%, around 0.05% of, like say, oxygen or the nitrogen. So in terms of the cleanliness, GTAW process offers the cleaner weld, very clean weld. This is one. And the heat input supplied, heat input, that we can call it as HNAD, is this is also minimum in this case, because it uses very low current. This is one. Current is usually limited, like say 150 or 200 maximum. Okay, this is most preferred kind of range. Otherwise it can be 300 as well, but commonly we go for like 100, 150 or 200 amperes. So low current, the values are used, and the arc length is also very short. Arc length is short, like say maybe 1 mm, 2 mm or 3 mm kind of the arc length we use. So this is the another interesting feature related with the TIG welding. Apart from the cleanest weld, it offers the lower heat input. Okay, so lower the heat input, cleaner the weld, means the quality of the weld metal is going to be really good, and therefore the TIG welding is used for very high quality welding purposes. So like say aircraft, spacecraft, or your nuclear reactors, wherever there is a huge criticality of the life and property, we prefer to weld those things using the GTAW, because of the very good quality weld which is produced due to these two unique features of very low heat input and very clean weld ability to produce a weld joint. Okay, so this in detail about this I'll be talking about the GTAW in next lecture, like what are the systems we use, what about its arc efficiency, arc stability, etc. And you can say third unique feature here only is the non-consumable electrode that we use in case of the TIG welding is tungsten. So it is getting its name from tungsten electrode, and inert gas is in form of helium and argon. So these are the two unique things. And these tungsten electrodes are frequently coated with the cerium, lanthanum, thorium. Okay, so these coatings, tungsten itself is a very good electron emitter. When these are coated with about 1.5 to 2% of the lithium, lanthanum or cerium, that offers very good electron emitting capability, and because of that your arc stability is extremely good. Okay, so that is why what we prefer these electrodes which are made of the tungsten, when they are coated with these elements like thorium or cerium or lanthanum. So this improves the current carrying capacity, means its ability to handle the current is enhanced. Number two, the electron emission capability is further enhanced. So your arc stability and your arc initiation both are improved significantly. Arc initiation and arc stability both are improved with the coatings of thorium, cerium and lanthanum over the tungsten. Although tungsten being a good electron emitter itself offers a very good electron emission capabilities and therefore good arc stability, okay, which is further enhanced with these coatings.